Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cinema Geeks. I am one of your Cinema Geeks, Optimus Solo, and joining me for today's record is Hard Candy Mandy.
Hey.
Movie Roll Dan.
Hello!
And Fridley Scent.
Hi!
I like it. We got three different types of greetings there. Nobody repeated, so that's good job on you guys. All right, today we are back with another one of our series of episodes going back to our top 100 films of all time today. So making another dent in that list as we're getting closer and closer to revealing our top 10. Today's segment will include our number 40s through our number 31s. Sounds weird by putting an S at the end of that. So not too many more blocks ahead. This is all top 50 territory. So I'm interested to see what today's segment has in store for everybody. You know, what decades are we going to go to? What genres? Are we going to have some crossover? We had a little of that, I think, in the last episode. Amanda, start with you. What can we expect out of you today?
The same thing you've been getting, bro. Just continued on. I think I'm going to have a bunch of definitely my childhood favorites, but also a little bit more of my adult side coming out too. So
childhood and adult side both being represented by movies that came out in the 90s?
Yeah, maybe one from the 80s. I don't know.
All right. Matt, what can we expect from your chunk of the list today?
People stealing things. You could argue one or two of them. Almost all of them have, like, a stealing element. There's definitely, like, 4 heist movies.
Excellent. So are you a thief at heart?
If I'm in a video game, I am. I'm too good-natured in real life. Like, oh man, my car for some reason has been getting vandalized a lot lately. Like to the point where the paint got damaged. And hey, guess what, guys? I'm still paying it off because it's a new car, and I'm a little upset about it. And like, I just don't understand vandalism, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna damage someone else's property, and I'm not even gonna be there to see how they respond. Like, I don't understand people that do bad.
No.
Like, I get it if you're stealing and you're, like, trying to profit. I could never steal because I'll think about how that other person's going to feel for the rest of my life.
You're a good guy, Charlie Brown.
I mean, I try.
Dan, any themes from your set of 10 today or anything we can expect?
Actually, yeah, I'm going to be talking about some of the biggest movies of all time from all across the spectrum of movie time, from the early days to somewhat recently, so...
Excellent. For my set of movies today, it's probably the most current, I think, out of any chunk of 10, because all the other ones I seem to have had a couple that have kind of gone back before my life started, 40s, 50s, that type of stuff, and I don't have anything like that today, so it's going to be the most modern chunk for the rest of the way, and just kind of how it worked out. Also, a bunch of big-name directors will have a film in my set of 10. I'm sure that'll be the same for a couple of you guys too.
I got a couple movies that have some repeat actors, definitely.
So revealing some love for your favorite actors, maybe?
A couple, yeah.
All right.
Don't hate.
Not hating.
Congratulate.
I'll wait until I hear what those movies are. All right, let's start with number 40 from Mr. Fridley Scent. What do you got today to start us off?
My number 40 is a heist movie. Go figure. It's American Hustle. Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, I think.
Yep.
It just, like, I really, really enjoyed this movie. And if I remember correctly, when I watched it with you guys,
possibly,
and Nate and Amy. And I remember some people, it was kind of tearing. Some people were into it, some people weren't. But this was when I was on my heist tear, where I watched, like, I don't know, like 30 heist movies one year, and I just really loved this one. Although, I mean, you know, the 40 style, not 31 style, liked it. I guess it doesn't, like, reinvent the genre or anything, but it's got a lot of really big actors doing a lot of really good acting.
Yeah.
And that got me into it. So I really like American Hustle.
Amanda, have you seen American Hustle?
I think so, yeah. Wait, maybe no. It's got, what would you say? It's got Terrence Howard in it? I think I saw
No,
that.
it's got Christian Bale and Bradley Cooper.
I'm thinking of House on the Floor then. No, did not see
You're
that.
thinking- Wow. Only on our podcast will we get those two movies mixed up.
Why are you turning red like you're embarrassed?
I don't know. I wasn't expecting to go there. Yeah, I think I had American Hustle in my top 15 that year. I don't remember exactly where it placed, but it was somewhere in the top 10 or top 15 the year it came out. I thought it had a lot of good parts. I thought Amy Adams was fantastic, and whose hair was in that? Was that Christian Bale's hair, or who had the hairpiece that was like a 10-minute scene? That was great.
I think it was Christian Bale, yeah.
Dan, any thoughts on American Hustle?
Yeah, that was a really strong year for film, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Great performances. I like David O. Russell, and I don't love him, but it very much did feel like reminiscent of a Scorsese film for sure. You definitely see the influences there. But
yeah.
All
right, Amanda, what are you starting today with?
Oh man, my number 40 from 1993. Little joint called True Romance. Recently made Kevin watch this for the first time. I don't think he loved it as much as I did. Brad Pitt, Gary Oldman, Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Robert Duvall, Christopher Walken. How can you go wrong? You can't. All right, I loved their love at first sight story. I love how weird it was and how they were drawn to each other and how they were instantly magnetized to each other and this whole crazy adventure that they find themselves going on and all this misfortune and how, you know, I love the ending too, how it all comes together, even though there's a ton of, you know, gratuitous violence, which I dig a lot. Love the gunfire. Loved Gary Oldman's crazy, outrageous character here. Like, it was insane. It's probably one of my favorite roles of his, and it's so brief. It's so powerful, though. So I loved everything about this. Sam Jackson, even fucking talking about some crazy stuff and getting blown up. Love it.
Spawned its own podcast, so there you go. True Romance. Any thoughts, Dan or Matt, on that one?
Never seen it.
Good lord.
I do. I actually watched that for the first time a few years ago. I do like it. It's interesting seeing like Tarantino's words with a different director, and you can see how much Tony Scott. I wouldn't say change. I don't know. I like Tony Scott a lot of a director, but I find it interesting how like he can kind of mesh his style, the script he has, but also. You mean, and one of the most intense fights ever with Patricia Arquette in the hotel room.
Oh my god! And Tony Soprano.
Yes, yeah, that is like brutal. Cause you think, oh man, it's over, and then it just keeps going and going.
Bitch took a beating though, like a champ. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go.
I enjoyed it. I think I need to watch it again or something, or a couple more times to get to the level that everybody else seems to adore it. But I enjoyed it, so I have no problem with you bringing it up as your number 40.
You shouldn't, because it's my GD list, all right? And I'm going to do with what I want with it.
For my number 40, I'm going to go into the world of science fiction, I guess, and also the world of Christopher Nolan for a 2010 film called Inception. I dig Inception. We recently rewatched this, a year ago or 2 years ago, I think, in relation to Interstellar possibly. But Inception's just it was so unexpected at the time, it seemed like. Like, I don't know what the anticipation level was for Inception when it came out, but I think it took a lot of people and just kind of like blew their minds. So it's a good one. It works on a rewatch. I think it still holds up. I don't know if I rated it as high as I did right when it came out. I think it's fallen just a little bit, but hey, it's still number 40 on my top 100, so that's still doing pretty good. So Inception is my number 40.
I thought this was on my freaking list, but apparently it's not, and I don't know why, because I really like it.
Because it came out in 2010.
Yeah, I think that's why. I have like a cutoff here, and it's just not making it. But yeah, I love this story. Getting solidified Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a badass for me, and Tom Hardy is just amazing and super suave, and the story was unique at the time. The visuals were outstanding, and even the end. I'm not even big on ambiguous endings, and I still was okay with the ending.
Fair enough. Dan, what do you have as your number 40?
I talked about up front that I'll be talking about some of the biggest movies of all time, and I'm getting to that right now. It's one of the biggest movies from the 1990s. So I'm sure, Amanda, you're a fan of this film, as many people are, and that is T2 Judgment Day.
Nice.
I love the Terminator franchise. Well, let's just say I love the two Terminator, the first films. If I did kind of just choose one movie per franchise, but there's a good chance that the very first Terminator can make this list. I do love how that's like a classic 80s like horror film in a way, but Terminator 2 is just a kick-ass action movie with some of the greatest action sequences of all time. This was like the prime of Schwarzenegger's career, and when him and James Cameron get together, they make magic. So.
For sure.
Is this the one with the liquid metal man?
Yeah. Yeah, the
Did you
T-1000.
have to rewatch all the Terminator movies?
I have seen them, okay? But they all bleed together for me. I can't distinguish which one is which.
Wow.
Watch the first one, watch the second one, and then stop. Probably your best bet.
No love for Kristanna Loken?
What?
She's
First
the one
two,
in the
three?
third movie. Yeah.
I mean, it does have a cameo from Chris Hardwick, so there's that going for it, I guess. I don't know.
Is it a cameo before you're famous?
Hey, he did Singled Out. He was still, he was still a legend for many people. But anyways, Terminator 2, it's a great film, obviously. So that's why it's my number 40.
I agree. Matt, what is your number 39?
All right. My next one of my top 10 heist movies is The Art of the Steal. I don't know if I would say the acting is anywhere near as good as American Hustle, and the tension's definitely not there like that one. But I love the premise. I love a good art steal instead of just money. Everyone goes for just money. The art steal makes it very interesting. The classic heist double turnaround at the end was very, very good, and it had a lot of funny moments. Like just the whole pirate situation was great. I really like The Art of the Steal.
I remember who was in that one, Matt.
I think
Kurt Russell's
Russell
in that?
Crowe. Oh, Kurt Russell, yeah, a different Russell.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen this one.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I watched it in your house. I don't know that if you were there.
So I wasn't always there.
Yeah. It came out with a very small release. Like it didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think even it was hit theaters. It was just like straight to on demand.
Yeah, we actually talked about. I think I put it in my one of the most anticipated lists. Like in 2014 on this show when it had a different name. And then like I was like, I don't even know. Like I just kept talking about it. I was like, I don't even know when this is gonna come out. I haven't seen it. And someone actually posted on the episode, "Hey, it's already on Amazon." And it's like, what do you mean?
Nice. Our listeners coming through and giving you the tip off on how to listen or how to watch.
Yeah.
I like it. Amanda, what do you have at your number 39?
This is an animated film from '97. Love the songs, love the characters, love the look, and that's Hercules. Disney's Hercules. Hercules.
She did the hand motion for those of you that obviously can't see that because it's a podcast.
Proof that gingers are awesome. Okay? I think that the songs here definitely were amazing. Like, I love singing along with these. I loved his journey. I loved seeing all these cool gods and all his trials that he went through. Philoctetes was boss. And I even don't hate Megara that much, even though she's kind of a bitch. But I just, something that I can rewatch even now and still can enjoy.
I've been super surprised by the animated films that have shown up on your list so far.
Why?
Because I know what your favorite ones are, and every time you say it's an animated film, I'm expecting to hear one of them.
This is still pretty low on the list,
All right.
if you think about it.
So Hercules, number 39.
No love for Hercules, though?
I don't know.
I don't even think you've seen this.
Maybe not. I've seen parts of it.
I did like Hercules. Was it not? Is the guy who plays Hades? Oh, I can't think of it. Oh,
I know how.
James. No, I can't think of who does it, but it'll come to me eventually. But he's great. I love his voice, and Danny DeVito is fun. I think it's a little underrated, like that and Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think it don't get as much credit because I think it came when the renaissance of Disney was kind of waning a little bit. But they have their moments.
At least in Hercules, there wasn't some like weird lecherous moments like in Hunchback. Hunchback is a good movie. I saw that shit in theaters. I remember my grandma took me. one of the rare movies from my being little that I saw in the theater, and watching that movie as an adult was like weirds me out. But Hercules, I can definitely get behind still as an adult.
Maybe I'll have to rewatch or watch for the first time those two films because I know nothing about either of them.
You've never seen Hunchback either?
I think I've seen them both, but I have no recollection of them.
Because you're old.
I am old. All right, we've established that. My number 39, let's stick with science fiction like my number 40. I'm going to go to a Spike Jonze film from 2013, so another film from this past decade here. My number 39 will be Her from 2013. I mean, we've talked about this film so many times on the podcast that I probably don't need to go into it anymore. I think it's a phenomenal film. I think it's easily the best film of 2013. I think it's a 1-2 punch in 2013 because it was such a good year. So I have two that I absolutely adore. But Her, the only reason that it's not higher on my list probably is because I actually haven't rewatched it yet. I've only seen it the one time in the theater, and I really need to watch it again to kind of really fully digest it a little bit more and get into exactly where it should fall. But because I'm just going off of that first watch and how well I thought it was and enjoyed it, that's why it's sticking at my number 39 now and not any higher. But I'm not going to get too far into it. We did a whole episode a long time ago on it, Dan and I, so you can go back and listen to our thoughts right in the moment after we watched it back then in 2013. Dan?
So I'm going back to another major franchise, but this one that's even been around even longer. It might be one of the longest movie franchises of all time. And going with James Bond and my favorite James Bond film. And for me, it's Casino Royale. Like that and Skyfall are really close to one another in Rush from Love. But growing up, I wasn't really into James Bond. Like I really, I watched GoldenEye here and there. I played the game, but I didn't care all that much about it. And I never even saw Casino Royale in theaters because I didn't really care that much. But when I finally did, I loved it. And, as a fan of the Bourne trilogy that we'll probably get to eventually with this list, I love the style of action. Daniel Craig as Bond to me was something I didn't expect, not the character I had in my mind. And it's just also a really well-made film and has, in my opinion, the best Bond girl out of any of the Bond girls. And her relationship with Bond is, I think, much stronger than any of the other films put together.
I'm like
so a lot to love. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm a lot like you. I have not seen hardly any of the Bond films. I didn't grow up a big Bond fan. My exposure was the video games basically, and I think I had seen a couple of the Pierce Brosnan films, but I don't even know if they were in theater. I think one of them was. So I really didn't get into Bond as a film. Not that I wouldn't say I've ever gotten into it, but I didn't really start following the films until Daniel Craig started appearing in them, and I think that has been some of the best ones. But I need to go back and revisit it. I would love to revisit the Pierce Brosnan ones, but even more, I'd like to, for a first-time watch, go back and see Sean Connery and some of the other Bonds, because it's a complete blind spot to me, all the films prior to Pierce Brosnan.
Fun fact about Amanda, my first serious movie crush, I was like, damn, this dude's sexy, was Sean Bean in GoldenEye.
Sean Bean?
Mm-hmm. He was the bad guy.
Man, wow. I thought you'd go Pierce Brosnan, but, Sean Bean, that works. Yeah.
I guess I did the bad
voice. Was it the scarring? Was it the scarring that did it?
It was, yeah.
That's so bizarre.
It was weird. I was like 8, 9 maybe. I don't know. I was like, this dude's hot.
And when you were 8 or 9, did you use the words you used just now? Damn.
I might have. I was a gangster little kid, right?
Oh my.
Running around my bowl cut.
Dan, any other comments on Bond? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah, like I said, I love it. Skyfall's not that far behind this. I love Roger Deakins' cinematography in Skyfall, and there's a lot of great action sequences. But for me, this is, I think, a more complete film, and I think it diverges from the Bond tropes a little bit better, and it has a really great kind of action sequences along with some really just great dramatic, tense poker sequences. So I love it.
I think it's an interesting franchise because there's been so many films, and I think you ask somebody what their favorite Bond film, I think you're so many times going to get different answers depending on the individual you're asking. Because I think I'm slightly leaning towards that Skyfall camp, but like I said, I need to rewatch all of the Bond films at some point and kind of see where they all line up. But I've heard a lot of people say good things about basically the entire Daniel Craig grouping, except for those that are thrown off with how closely the sequel happens after the first one. I think some people use that to kind of as against it in some way, even though I don't know if that's fair or not. But because Matt, you had the other one on your list, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, like I
Solace.
think Quantum of Solace is my favorite of the Bond movies, and I think that Casino Royale is my least favorite. But I also feel like I might have been a kid when I saw Casino Royale the first time. So like I should rewatch that, and I haven't seen the newest one, Spectre.
Have you seen Skyfall?
I have.
Okay.
I liked it. It was good. Really, I really like the song. I think Skyfall might have been perfect if they could have got the what was the
Sean
Scottish
Connery?
Bond? Yeah, thank you, to play the old man, because that was written for, like, that had to have been written for. It was Sean Connery all over it, but he's advanced in years and there are issues and stuff.
Right. All right, so that leads us right into your number 38. Matt, what do you have?
My number 38 is hey, mine's an animated movie. It's The Incredibles.
Nice.
Just I love comedy. I love superheroes. And when I can see them, I usually love a Disney movie. And so, I don't think I need to wax on about The Incredibles. It's great. It's hilarious. It's someday going to get a sequel, maybe, and hopefully that's not terrible, because it's starting to really get on in years. I love the characters. I love the idea of a superhero family. And in my superhero content, I usually like to have the real life stuff too. That's why I kind of like the Teen Titans comic books. Usually, so like this family dynamic being a part of the superheroing is just superb. Like it's great. I love it.
I don't know.
The Incredibles.
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say a negative thing about Incredibles.
Because there's nothing negative about The Incredibles. It's all amazing.
All right, Amanda's
all
apparently
amazing.
in agreement with you on that one. Amanda, what do you have at number 38?
I have another kind of animated movie. Somewhat of this is animated. It's from '96, and that's James and the Giant Peach. I got to read the book in school. We got to watch the movie afterwards, of course. Ever since then, I've loved it. I used to sit in my grandma's living room, and she would feed me peaches and let me watch this all Sunday afternoon. I loved it. I think the look of it's amazing. How they did the animation and like the use of color and light and texture was incredible, and I loved all of the characters, and the story in itself is just wonderful and amazing, and you have to like it.
Anyone seen James and the Giant Peach?
I have, yeah. I watched it growing up as a kid too. Like I think we were reading it in my 4th or 5th grade class when around the time the movie came out or was out or what have you, and I did like it. It was like one of the first stop-in motion animation movies I saw, and it was around the time of, I think, Nightmare Before Christmas, and I do like it a lot. It changes a lot from the book, but I still enjoyed it. It's a strange movie, for sure. Big departure for what you normally get with Disney, but I actually didn't even realize it was a Disney film until recently. I'm like, I thought that was someone else because it doesn't really have their type of style, their flavor, but it's an enjoyable film.
I have never seen the movie nor read the book.
Oh man, it's Roald Dahl, so it's a good book. Like, he doesn't write bad books.
No, definitely not.
All right, another blind spot for me, I guess. For my number 38, I think I mentioned this way long time ago early on in the countdown that I would have a baseball film come up at some point during my countdown, and it's coming up right here at number 38. It's my personal favorite baseball film, and I have about 10 baseball films at least on the DVD shelf over there, Blu-ray, whatever. And this is from 1989, and this would be Field of Dreams. I adore this film for so many different reasons. James Earl Jones is amazing. Kevin Costner is in his element doing a baseball film like he did every other year back then. And there was just something about the mystique the kind of the mysterious aspects of it, and just being someone that loves baseball, it was right up my alley, especially when it came out, because I was about 8 or 9 years old at that point, and heavy on into Little League and stuff like that. And I just loved everything about this film. I've probably seen it at least a half dozen times, if not a dozen times, and every time I watch it, I get the same type of emotional pull that it does to me. So I love everything. Father-son thing. A lot of love in Field of Dreams, so that's my number 38.
Is this If You Build It, They Will Come?
Correct.
All right.
Not Amanda. Dan, you're up next. What do you have at number 38?
For my number 38, I'm actually going to go to a very kind of staying in the kind of crime realm, but going to a very different type of style and film. Going to 1967, a French film by Jean-Pierre Melville, Le Samurai. Le Samurai kind of combines everything I love about crime with what I love about the samurai films as well. It has that kind of a slow, methodical pacing of Miyazaki, geez. Not of the classic samurai films of the day, but it also has the most ultimate coolest character I think on film with Jessica Castillo, the main character. He just like if you just see the Criterion cover image for it, it's just like him holding his hat, and I can't really describe it really well, but it just oozes coolness. And if you'd like something like Drive or there's a lot of influences from this. He's a very mysterious type of character. He doesn't say much. It's a lot through his actions, but I remember watching this and not really know much about it, but it really just stuck with me, and I think it really helped me get into films that were minimalistic in their use of dialogue and really depended upon more of atmosphere and direction. So it's a really good movie. I've only watched it like once, 1.5 times. I really want to go back and seek it out again because be curious to see what it's like on multiple rewatches. So it could be potentially up on this list if that does occur.
What year did that come out, Dan?
1967.
Okay, I'll write that down. Another blind spot for me. Matt, have you seen that one?
No, I haven't even heard of it.
All right, so homework for all of us. Matt, that means it's back to you at number 37. What do you have?
One of, I think when I was doing my heist phase, and I was asking everyone, hey, what's your favorite heist movie? I just asked everyone I knew, what's your favorite heist movie? I think this is the one that usually was up there, and I think it might be the highest one on my list, and that's The Usual Suspects. This is one of the ones that, like, just like if you build it, they will come. Like this is the one. Like this is one of those ones that's just permeated pop culture with the big reveal, the dropping the cup, all of that. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to talk about it because it's way too dense and easy to spoil. And if you haven't seen it, you know why it's great.
Yeah, this is one of those films that was on. Seemed like it was on repeat during college between myself and the different roommates. There was quite a few of them that we watched a good deal, and this was one of them. And it was always fun showing this to someone that hadn't seen it. And there's just, I don't know, it's just like not just a cult favorite. It's just a favorite of, I think, a lot of cinephiles in this genre. And I agree. I think it's an amazing film. Amanda, did you watch this for the first time here?
Last year.
Last year?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
Yes, it's got Benicio del Toro in it, so I'm about it. I think I had seen some of it on TV, but I hadn't seen enough of it to, have it spoiled for me. So when I saw like the ending and like the reveal situation happen, I was like, what? Pretty blown away by it, but it was super cool, and I would definitely go back and rewatch it, knowing the twist to see if I could see it.
All right, so I think it's unanimous love for The Usual Suspects. Amanda, what do you have at 37?
My 37 is another childhood fave. Not really sure if I should have seen this at the age I did.
That's a theme also that's come up in your list.
Yeah, my mom just kind of liked movies too and let me watch some stuff. I don't know. This is from 91, and it's Drop Dead Fred. It was super gross, super funny, super weird, just like me, you know what I mean? So I really liked it. I think Rick, what's his last name? Mail? I don't know what his last name is. And Phoebe Cates had such a great dynamic. It was just funny, but it also was, heartfelt when it needed to be. And I always wanted a friggin' troublemaking imaginary friend too. So there you go.
I I find it bizarre that in this 40 through 31, I think there's been more movies mentioned so far than any other segment of the countdown that I haven't seen. I was thinking the higher we would go, it would be like all movies I knew and all that kind of stuff. But
You haven't seen this?
no, never seen it.
You haven't seen like any of my movies except for one on here.
No, we got our work cut out for ourselves after we finally conclude this list. For my number 37, I'm going to go to the world of Quentin Tarantino, and also a 90s film here, 1992's Reservoir Dogs. Dan and I obviously just did an episode during the Tarantino retrospective, so you can go there to find our in-depth thoughts about
How many plugs are you going to throw in this
Reservoir Dogs.
episode?
I'm just going to say I'm not going to repeat everything we've said, but there's a whole episode about it, and obviously if it's coming up at number 37, if you remember the rankings we did of the Tarantino films, you should know that there's still going to be more Tarantino on my list moving forward. But Reservoir Dogs, top 40, ended up at number 37 for me. Dan, what do you got next?
Very nice, very nice. Next, I'm going to go to a favorite director of mine, kind of switching things up here. I guess I'm getting older and older, and this is probably be one of the oldest films I talk about on my list, and it's a Buster Keaton film. It's Sherlock Jr. It's actually, it may not even count because it's, it's only, it's a short film. It's not a complete length, but, it's back in the day. It was hard to make long movies, so it counts for me. But Sherlock Jr. is this really wonderfully directed, insane movie that really, when you go back and watch it, you realize when people say, like, how do they do that? That's been kind of lost today because of the CGI. But back then, seeing some of the things he was able to do is insane. There's a specific sequence where he kind of walks into the movie and basically from scene to scene, like it's like flipping channels, and it goes through all these different sequences, and you realize what was probably 4 to 5 minutes on screen took probably days to shoot, or weeks, months perhaps, because it was very methodical. Like he would be in one spot in one location and then go to another completely different movie, but still be in the same location body wise. So it took a lot of great direction, and like Buster Keaton is just obviously a comedic genius. Is one of the biggest, if not one of the most iconic people in film ever. So this was streaming for a very long time on Netflix. I don't know if it currently is, but it's a good entry point for me. I think for Buster Keaton's films, they hold up. They're over nearly 100 years old. A lot of obviously slapstick humor being a silent film, but it's well done and just insane the things he would do. Like he would clearly put his life on the line in certain stunts. And it's made a movie that's still phenomenal decades later.
How you said it's a short film? What's the length of it?
It's only 49 minutes.
Oh, that's very manageable. I'll have to check to see if that's still streaming. All right, Matt, number 36.
All right, so my list is not the best movies. My list is not the award-winning movies. My list is the movies that I enjoy and that I find fun. So don't hate on me when my number 36 is Machete. Like, I love Danny Trejo and everything, and this movie is just so buck wild. I love it from beginning to end. It's hilarious. Like I don't know. Like every time I think about it, it just makes me happy. I haven't seen the sequels, but I mean, I don't need to because Machete was kind of a complete story, but I do kind of want to. It's just hilarious. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. I mean, Danny Trejo, guys.
The Danny Trejo fan club being headed up by Matt, I believe. Dan, have you seen Machete?
I have. I do. I like Robert Rodriguez. He knows. I think he directed that, or at least he produced it. I think he was part of it, at least. So I've not seen Machete Kills. Is that the sequel?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did enjoy it. It's fun. I'm happy for Danny Trejo. He's a very scary man. So I'm afraid to say anything bad about his movies. But not that I would. It's a fun movie. It's a movie that knows what it is and it's not afraid to be just crazy. When you're legitimately like bungee jumping with the intestines of a guy you just stabbed, clearly you know what you're doing. So.
All right, Amanda, what do you have next on your list?
This is another Gary Oldman movie on my list here, and that's from '92, and that's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I think a lot of people point to that as one of his best roles as well.
Yeah, I didn't even freaking know that was him until much older, me being much older, and watching it again. And it's so much of this film is things that I love. It's dark, it's gory, it has this huge crazy love triangle, it's got vampires, and also like a werewolf kind of thing. So this movie freaked me the hell out, but also definitely just was entrancing, and I'll definitely rewatch this over and over again, and I've even tried to read the classic. I haven't got all the way through it yet, because it's a little bit harder to read than it is to watch the movie.
Dan or Matt, have you seen this one?
No.
What? Keanu Reeves?
I don't get down on a horror movie, and usually a Dracula's a horror.
It's also got Anthony frickin' Hopkins in it as Van Helsing.
I missed the vampire movies of the '90s. That's an Interview with a Vampire.
Yes.
I've not seen either of those.
I have not seen it either.
What? Winona Ryder. It's also
it doesn't
got
matter how
Carrie...
many people you name that are in this movie. It's not going to change the fact that I have not seen it.
Wait.
It might change
Can
your
you let me
opinion on
gush
seeing
about
it.
all the people that I
Yes,
love in
keep
it? It's
going.
not about trying to make you be like, oh yeah, I guess I have seen it now that you named 6,000 of the freaking actors in it. What is the Carrie guy from Princess Bride?
Els?
Carrie Ells. He's in it. Okay, there's a ton of awesome actors. There's a ton of awesome scenes. They're just mind-boggling and disturbing and beautiful all at the same time.
All right, add it to the list.
You'll never watch this.
I will. I'll watch it as soon as you watch Breakfast Club.
Fuck.
All right. So that's never happening. For my number 36, I'm going to go to the 80s. Speaking of Breakfast Club, let's go to something kind of in that same vein. I'm going to go to John Hughes' film Ferris Bueller's Day Off for my number 36. It's just, I don't know, they don't make films like this, it seems like. It seems like a type of film that's just gone by the wayside, or maybe I'm just missing which films would kind of fill the same space, but like the John Hughes films that we got
We just watched Edge of 17. Boom, there you go.
Yeah, it's not like Ferris Bueller's Day Off though.
In
I'm
what
talking
way?
about just like total just fun, carefree, like not necessarily caring too much about taking itself serious or having drama or anything like that. It's just kids being kids, and there's so much to love about Ferris Bueller's Day Off that I had to rank it this high. I was surprised. I wouldn't think it would have. I would have thought it would have been more towards the other side of 50 for me. But as I was kind of compiling things and putting it up against other films, it kind of kept knocking other stuff off. So it's all the way up at number 36 for me. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Dan?
They do have those films, but they're like Project X that just make us feel old, so we ignore that they exist.
That's what I'm thinking.
Just
I'm like,
think
do I
about
just
like
put up blinders to it or something.
Yeah, it's like that just makes me feel old, and I feel like I just called the cops and want not to be next to that party. So I'm gonna So that's also not nearly as good, but that's
Right.
besides the point.
What do you have next?
For my next one, my number 36, I'm going to one of my favorite movies about movies, and that is Cinema Paradiso, which I watched for the first time I think about 7 years ago, and it's, for those that know that the premise of it, basically it's this kid who grows up in the theater, basically in a small town, but the movies are heavily edited by the church. They kind of take out anything objectionable and kind of anything that could be seen as obscene, and it goes through that impact and how movies can influence us and change us. And I think it's an Italian film that it's a good introductory, I think, into kind of the foreign cinema for a lot of people. It was for me. And it's still just, I don't know, it gets to, when I remember when like La La Land came out this past year, people would say like La La Land exemplifies why I love movies. To me, that is also Cinema Paradiso, because it gets to that, but it gets to a lot more. So
I've
love
heard
it. And I
this.
think that also is streaming, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I need to watch this one because I've heard it come up so many times, and I know you've talked about it before in very favorable light, and no reason why I haven't watched this except for time. And there's so many movies that I want to catch up on, like that you guys are all highlighting in this whole countdown, that I'm going to have like a whole year's worth of homework to try to do to catch up on some of this stuff. All right, that's the first 5 picks for today are 40 through 36. We still have 5 more to go, but we're going to take a quick break, take a couple of listens to some of the other podcasts that we'd like to advertise for, and then we'll be right back with our last 5 picks for this segment of the countdown.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey guys, it's Optimus Solo and
Hard Candy Mandy.
we just wanted to let you guys know about another podcast out there that we both think you would all enjoy.
It's one of both of our favorite shows to listen to, and it's none other than the True Bromance Podcast.
True Bromance is a movie podcast hosted by longtime friends Hyro and Barry, and if you like to smile, laugh, and just be genuinely entertained while listening to movie talk, then this is definitely the right show for you.
Each week, the guys break down a recently released movie, and not only do they tie in the movie that week to the beers that they are drinking during the show,
but they also tie it into a real fun top and bottom 5 list associated with that movie.
it's a blast hearing both sides of these lists, and it definitely makes them unique amongst all other movie review podcasts.
So we definitely want to recommend all of you guys to go check out their show. Just search out the True Bromance Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and all other podcast platforms. And if you listen via iTunes, do us a favor and leave them a 5-star review. And don't forget to let them know that the Cinema Geeks sent you.
On the Simplistic Reviews podcast, we talk movies. We talk TV. We talk.
Hello, Julie, what the heck are you doing?
Trying to make our spots sound more exciting by adding explosions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have got the point across with sound effects, not the real thing. Car.
Download the show on iTunes or at simplisticreviews.blogspot.com.
I'm sure your insurance company will cover that.
No, they won't.
No, they probably won't.
Now back to the show. Do you see how your patience paid off?
All right, thanks for sticking with us. We're back to give you our number 35 through 31 pick as we creep our way closer and closer to our top 10. Matt, you're back in the hot seat. What do you have at number 35?
I think this has already come up in the countdown, but I could be wrong. I don't have the best of memories. Jet Li joint. My number 35 is Hero. It just has one of the most beautiful art styles where a story gets retold, and every time it gets retold, it's just a little bit different. And the art style reflects the telling. And it's got just amazing action sequences and amazing non-action sequences, and it balances it really well. And I love the non-linear storytelling elements in it. It's just an amazing movie.
Super cool kung fu movie, but also a little bit different too. I feel like it's got a little bit different feel, and I really like Jet Li, and this was one movie that I think was really made for him. Like, I feel like he did so well in this.
Don't think I've seen it.
Oh, now see, that's criminal. Like,
it's kind of long, isn't it, Matt?
I didn't. It doesn't feel like it. It might be, but you don't feel. I don't know. I don't feel like drained at the end of it like I do for a lot of movies.
All right, my list keeps growing. Amanda, what do you have next?
Oh, I love this movie so much. Are you looking at my list?
No, but I hope you love all the movies this much that are in your top 40 of all time.
This is a movie that I've seen so many times, and I kind of don't know why it's not higher, really. That's my bad. But my number 35 is from 1993. Robin Williams, Sally Field, Mrs. Doubtfire.
This is the second time 93 movies come up on your list, I think, or somebody else had a 93 movie.
I don't break the 90s here. I get close as 99, and that's it in this.
Mrs. Doubtfire. So why so much love for Mrs. Doubtfire?
Oh my gosh, there's just so much heart in this film. So much, just reckless abandonment and comedy and just... I don't know, it's something that I was always drawn to as a kid. Love going back to it, even as an adult. And I found some of it really heartbreaking, especially some of the moments with his kids. And I fucking hated Sally Field in a bunch of this. Also, Pierce Brosnan coming up again on the list here. Total doucher. That's why you got a lime to the back of the head. But, I mean, you can't top flaming fake boobies and... That voice, you know what I mean? It's amazing.
Robin Williams and his element. I guess what I have seen this one.
What?
Yes, so I don't have to add this one to the list. Dan or Matt, any thoughts on Mrs. Doubtfire?
It's hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. I don't remember loving it as much when I saw it the first time, but I've only seen it maybe 1.5 times. So.
Are you serious?
I liked Robin Williams, but I don't remember liking the movie that much.
Oh my gosh, he's got little dinosaurs. No meat, big feet, I eat wood. Burr, burr, burr.
Amanda can probably quote this entire film, I'm guessing.
Can.
All right, let me go in a completely different direction for my number 35. And it was funny because I was talking about Her, and I said, it was the best film that year, and then I was looking at my spreadsheet in front of me, and I'm like, well, I can't really say that since I have another film from that year 4 spots higher. So I think it depends on what day you ask me with these two films on which one I put higher. So for number 35, I'm going to go with Steve McQueen's 12 Years a Slave. I think that and Her were just so far above everything else that came out that year and almost everything else from this decade. So it just depends on kind of your personal preference, I think, as far as which one you like better. But 12 Years a Slave is a masterpiece, in my opinion, so there was no way it wasn't going to be in my top 50, and it ended up at number 35. What, Amanda? That is a terrible look you're giving me. You've never seen it.
Nope.
All right, so don't give me a bad look.
That's why I was giving you that look, sir. Fuck off.
We will watch that. I'll get you to watch that before I get you to watch Breakfast Club.
Most definitely.
All right. I don't know. I don't understand the aversion to Breakfast Club, but...
I don't want to watch it.
All right. Dan, what do you have at number 35?
My biggest movies of all time part continues as my number 35. I have Lawrence of Arabia, notable for being a huge landmark in film. And I watched it for the first time 2 years ago, at least in the sense of straight through. Since I was an adult, I watched it here and there when I was a kid, but never sat down. And well, I didn't watch it all at once because it's like 4 hours, so I did chunk it up because I'm old and I have a short attention span. But I still want to be able to see this someday in the big screen because it is gorgeous to look at on the right print. It's an epic in every sense of the word. There's a lot of films like Ben-Hur, Ten Commandments, but Lawrence of Arabia is just on another level. It's a feat. Like you legitimately couldn't make a movie like this today. It probably took the economy of a small country to make this movie, and it still holds up. Iconic performances, just incredible sequences from start to finish. But I think I love classic Hollywood movies, as I've talked about a lot of them, and this is to me just hands down one of the best. Just from a filmmaking standpoint, from a scale standpoint, an acting standpoint, script standpoint, it's got a lot going for it, and I think it deserves the praise that it gets.
I think the only thing that has kept me from watching this one is the runtime so far, because I think this was like the next one that my mom and I were going to watch as we were going through the AFI list of top 100 films, and that's kind of when we ended up stopped doing it for whatever reason. Life got in the way, but I've been wanting to watch this one because it seems like something I would enjoy, but every time I've ever thought about it, it's like, well, I don't have 4 hours right now. So same with Gone with the Wind. It's just a couple films that you really got to kind of decide that you're going to put the effort in to watch them. So I will do that at some point because I really need to watch this one and erase that from my list of shame. Matt, number 34.
All right, I've talked about my love of the Gundam anime series a lot on this podcast over the years, and I wanted to put something from there on here. But the movies generally are pretty bad, or they're just not. They don't compare because there's usually like a lot of political elements and all that. And so I've put the last one. I think the last one. Asterisks because I have 91 in the main storyline. This is the end of the feud between Amuro Ray and Char Aznable, and that's Char's counterattack. This movie essentially culminated almost 10 years of anime, where these two characters started off as like a 16 and 17-year-old fighting in space, and then this is the end of both of their lives at mid-30s, where technology has just gone crazy. Char's gone from being a villain to a hero to an anti-hero to just being a villain again, with even more turn towards the end of maybe there's more complicated than it looks. It's pretty old, I think late 80s, early 90s, and so the animation doesn't necessarily hold up as much as some of the later movies, but just a great end, or a good end to a great storyline. Char's counterattack.
Dan, have you seen any of the Gundam stuff?
Stuff here and there. I think I watched some stuff as a kid, but I don't remember which ones I watched. So I know there's a lot of different ones. So I never watched it. I watched them. I did not watch them a lot. I just caught them here and there when they would be on like Cartoon Network or I think they were on TNT at one point, maybe. I forget. But yeah, I played a few games. I played a few of the games for Dreamcast. I had a really good Dreamcast Gundam game, but nothing really beyond that.
I've like casually seen some of the show on Toonami back in like 6th grade or whatever, but that's the extent to what I've seen. I've never seen any of the movies though.
All right, Amanda, then what do you have next?
Oh man, here's my one of my 1999 picks. My number 34 is Muppets from Space.
Muppets from Space.
I see you're building the old come and build a jacuzzi. We will come, okay, baby? It's got Pepe the Shrimp, one of my favorite fucking Muppets. And this is like Gonzo's story. Like it's such a fun story. You feel so bad for Gonzo. You see where he comes from, which is super cool because nobody knows what the hell Gonzo is until you watch this movie. And the music is great, their camaraderie is there, there's none of this, dissension. They're all living in a house together and doing their thing and trying to support Gonzo. And there's also some, really awesome people too, which it's funny because, there's, you guys see Hellboy, who's like the agent that was always trying to keep Hellboy in line, the bald guy. He's also like the same kind of thing here, like an agent trying to find aliens and stuff. So there's some cool elements to this and super fun, and I just love it, and I've seen it a billion times. And
so at risk of spoiling your list, will there be any other Muppet films, or is this, in your opinion, the tops of the franchise?
This is just my favorite Muppet movie.
Okay.
There is no other Muppet movie on my list.
All right, so Muppets from Space. Pigs? No?
I'm so quiet.
All right, for my number 34, I'm not going to get into it too far because Matt already talked about it today. And my number 34 is from 1995, and that would be Usual Suspects. So I kind of said my piece on it when Matt brought it up. So obviously, Matt, I agree. It's a great film.
It's so good.
All right, Dan, what do you have at your number 34?
My number 34, I'm also going with the crime film from the 90s, but a little bit different. It's more of a classic style noir with LA Confidential. It's just a fantastic movie. Great cast from Kevin Spacey to Russell Crowe before he was really a huge star. Guy Pearce. I love, the classic noir style, and it really takes that and modernizes it a little bit, but it's really in that mold. Danny DeVito's amazing as this, like, sleazy headline reporter. It's got a lot of interlocking parts, different plots going on that all kind of fit together like a great classic crime novel. So if you are at all a noir fan, I think it's probably one of the last great ones that was made during that time. Got robbed at the Oscars. Surely should have won a Best Picture. Unfortunately, it did not. But still, I love it. Probably the best thing Kim Basinger's ever done. But yeah, it's a great. If you're a crime film fan, it's a must see.
Absolutely. LA Confidential. I think that fits with a couple of the different films that we've kind of talked about in the mid '90s with that same genre. But I agree, it's one of the top ones like that. And if anybody likes those types of films or likes more modern types of films, that's one to go back and check out for sure. All right, Matt, number 33 we're at.
All right. I talked about it a bit on the most recently, I guess, in the March Madness we did. My number 33 is Batman 66, or Batman from the 1960s. The first time I saw this, I don't think I knew what camp was. And so I was just, like, floored by this. Like, why is Batman silly? Like, what is this C for Catwoman? That doesn't even make sense. But, like, when I got to the end of it, I ordered it off the internet because I think I was borrowing it from a friend. And, like, I've watched this movie so many times since then. Like, I love it. I love all of it. Like, Frank Gorshin, Cesar Romero, Burgess Meredith, obviously, oh, shoot. I forgot Batman's name, the famous one. Adam West, Burt Ward. Like, it's so good. Like, it's so silly and fun And, like, at one point, the Riddler's, like, doing something, and Joker's like, what, are you crazy? Like, you're gonna give us away? And it's like, dang, dude, you're crazier than the Joker? What does that even mean? Why does he have a mustache? Like, I get so excited for Batman 66. It's so just silly.
I think it's impossible not to have fun when you watch that film. I think we watched that when over here at one point with the group, and it was just a lot of fun. And I think you gotta appreciate the what they were going for, I guess, and how they pulled it off, and not pulling any punches. They knew what they were doing, and they did it in a very memorable way. Dan, what do you think about the 66 film?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, enjoyable. I did watch the show growing up as a kid, and it's a good extension of that. So,
absolutely. All right, Amanda, number 33. What 90 year are you going with on this one?
We're about to get serious here. All right.
I'm ready.
This is 95.
Uh-huh.
My 33 is Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd.
Slice the
Wow.
I friggin' love this movie. My grandma used to let me watch this all the time. It was constantly on TNT. She owned it, so we got to watch it whenever the hell we wanted to. And it was just a really cool, like, future movie. And I love Sylvester Stallone, especially in this film. And I even watched, like, the reboot, and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is not even cool. Like, it was so limited. I didn't like it at all. It was just a big, like, super cool 90s movie, and it's everything that I love.
All right. I agree that the 90s film is much better than the remake.
But you don't necessarily like.
Really?
Just shock the shit out of Dan.
What's the other one that they try to do that with?
Total Recall?
Dredd. Carl Urban?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of the right movie?
Maybe I'm not.
The one they're stuck in one location and they're going up the
Peachtree and the fucking building the whole time.
Yeah, I was saying that the 90s version was better.
Really? Oh, okay. Wow.
You like the
the newer version better?
Oh, by far.
What?
By far.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
It's great. The new Dredd is I think a very good movie. Carl Urban's great. The action's phenomenal. Yeah, I enjoyed that a great deal.
Maybe I haven't seen these two in long enough to remember what I'm talking about.
We just watched. Oh no, we watched Demolition Man the other day, didn't we?
I didn't watch any.
Are you thinking of the Total Recall?
That's what was coming to my mind. I don't remember if I'm lumping those all together or not. I know the Total Recall remake was garbage compared to Total Recall. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to revisit Dredd because maybe I haven't even seen those movies. I don't know. I feel like I have, but maybe I haven't.
It's got that guy from The Animal. What's his name in it?
The Animal?
Yeah, and the hot chick.
You're just naming words that...
Rob Schneider?
Rob Schneider, he's in it? Yeah.
That's not good. That's not a vote in its favor.
I don't think The Animal is Rob Schneider's seminal piece either.
He was the main guy in it.
Like, I thought we were going back to Muppets. I was like, Animal? Like, what? Like, I don't know what we're talking about right now. Oh, man. All right. You just threw me all kinds off with your Judge Dredd pick. All right,
much hate for my pick here, guys.
It's funny because I was just going to bring up that this is going to be my second film in a row from 1995, and then I was looking and I have like 5 films from 1995 in the top 50, and then you said like, oh, we're going to get serious, and you said a film from 95. I'm like, oh, it's going to be one of the ones that I'm talking about. No, not at all. All right, for my number 33, I'm going to go to a 1995 film from Mr. Mel Gibson, and we're going to go Braveheart at number 33. I feel like this one's been kind of lost along the way here in the last decade or two. It seems like it's not talked about that much, but...
Because Mel Gibson is a pariah.
The film is still fantastic.
I don't disagree with that.
So, yeah, Braveheart. I remember growing up, like, I told myself that Patriot was a better movie because I was just much more into U.S. history, I think, at the time. But Braveheart is easily the superior film from a filmmaking standpoint and everything else like that. So, yeah, I love Braveheart. What's not to love about Braveheart? It's number 33. Dan?
Yeah, I do like Braveheart too. It is a brutal movie though.
Yes.
For my number 33, so I talked about a few films about throughout this countdown how I really love movies about news, about journalism, and that'll be consistently coming up, and it's coming up again with my number 33. and it's directed by George Clooney, and it's Good Night and Good Luck.
Nice.
The movie that covers the battle between Edward R. Murrow and James McCarthy. Daniel Strathairn, he is the performance of Murrow, and he's just amazing in this. The performance that he gives as he kind of recreates a lot of his infamous speeches is just so spot on. He's able to kind of capture what Murrow did in real life without just doing an interpretation. Love the use of black and white. It was a really smart move, along with the idea of using McCarthy's actual footage rather than getting an actor, because I think that was a good way of capturing that time and making it feel along those lines. So it's almost noir-esque as well, the way it's shot. I mean, a lot of great atmosphere using like cigarette smoke to really kind of bring you to that time. And it made me gets me excited anytime Clooney comes out with a movie, even if he's disappointed me with things like Ides of March and Monuments Men. I just think back to this and thinking about how great of a film he put together. I hope one day he can get back to it, but for me, maybe I love it more because it's a topic that I tend to enjoy, but still, it's a great film. Even if you just pick out some of the clips from the film, from the speeches that he does, I think it's worth watching because it's may get you excited to watch the entire film.
Yeah, I love this film. I remember when it came out, us both being pretty high on it, and I don't know how it missed my top 100, but it was definitely one of the ones that I had circulating amongst the list as I was trying to break it down, and it just kind of got left off somehow. But I really enjoy this film as well. It's right up my alley. So I think anybody that likes that the topic or the genre should definitely check that one out. It's a high recommend for me as well. Matt, number 32.
Oh man, my number 32 should come as no surprise. Conan the Barbarian, man. It's a solid fantasy movie. It's one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite genre of all time. And it, I don't know, more or less invented the category as far as movies are concerned. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger at his peak, physically, right? He is Mr. Universe here. And then it's got, Dungeons and Dragons, you got a barbarian and a thief and, I don't know, more of a ranger character. And they're getting together and they're doing quests. I think they pull off a heist situation actually towards the end of the second act. It's real good. It may not be the best. Things have come along since then, but it is real good, and it's real fun to watch. Even if it's got one of the worst character backstories ever, where it's just hey, look at this guy. He's in a battle arena, and now he's an adult and he's really good. And then he just gets released for no reason. Now let's start the actual movie.
Amanda, what are your thoughts on Conan?
Love Conan. I think that the whole fantasy genre is super cool in general, and when you can get a super solid fantasy film like this, and the sequel wasn't that bad either, was it? I remember
Conan the Destroyer is solid, yeah.
Yeah, I remember liking both of them. Made me want ferrets, and I think that it definitely is him in his element, and this is something that you can rewatch too. It definitely holds up over time.
Dan, have you seen the Conan films?
Not since I was a kid, but I will say the remake was better. Not really. It's
fighting words.
It's not very good at all. But yeah, it was just Khal Drogo's. I know that's not his real name, but it was just his warm up before he became Aquaman, basically. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Stay away from that. Go back into the vault and watch one of the original ones and see how you like it. I think that's definitely represents a certain time, and Arnold, like you guys said, at his peak. All right, Amanda, number 32.
My 32. It's my only 80s movie in this section. Taking it to 84. Not a lot to say about this that we haven't already said, and that's Ghostbusters. Who are you going to call? Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Ghostbusters?
Yeah, basically.
All right.
Do I need to say anything about it? I mean, do we need to gush more about this?
I don't think so. No. I think we've said our piece on Ghostbusters. We have all heaped the praises on it. So you
can go listen to our episode on the new Ghostbusters review. You can do that because then we're going to talk about it there, right? No plug, Kevin. Go for it.
All right. All right, for my number 32, my third 1995 film in a row, and fifth, like I said, in the last 20. So I had 7. We had Heat, we had Usual Suspects, and Braveheart. But I guess the best film for me from 95, and man, I don't know. I think it depends on, again, when you watch all these and what kind of day of the week it is and what you're aiming for. I don't think people are as high on this one as maybe I am, but for my number 32, I'm going to go to Martin Scorsese and Casino. I've watched this one so many times. I'm not a big person on rewatching films, but this was another one during college that we probably watched at least a dozen times, and showed it to you, Amanda, for the first time last year. I don't
last
remember
year.
if you liked it or not.
Yeah, it was solid.
So I think it's De Niro in his element, obviously, and I just think there's a lot to love. It is a little bit long, and I think some people have issues with the back half of it or the back third, maybe the final act, but I enjoy the whole thing. So Casino is my number 32. Dan?
Very nice. Yeah, I actually watched that for the first time. I remember we did our list of shame. That was on my list of shame, and I actually finally crossed it off not too long ago. So
nice.
But,
what do you think it's? Do you think it's pretty inferior compared to some of the other ones in that genre, or do you think it kind of is in the same conversation?
Like for Scorsese or for just the crime genre?
Just the mob crimes, kind of like with Goodfellas and I don't know if Godfather is a little bit up there, but those types of films.
I would say it's more of a second tier compared to like top echelon for me. Like
Right.
It's not like the best of the best, but I think it's so good. Like I would, quality wise, I would probably put it along the same lines of something like like an LA Confidential or something like that. So
Gotcha.
All
right.
For my next film, it's. I hope I get that I can pronounce this right. I don't think you guys may have heard of it. It's one of those little smaller films that I'm hoping one day it will get an audience. It's maybe like if we talk about it more, people will seek it out and watch it. It's this Empire Strikes Back is my next. Sorry, that was a lame joke. I apologize. But it's just because there's not much more you can talk about when it comes to Empire Strikes Back. But as a kid, it was my go-to Star Wars film. Battle of Hoth, basically. I loved that sequence. I loved playing the Nintendo 64 game. I can't even think. Shadow of an Empire, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Where you got to play. I think I did that level over and over again just because of how much I loved it. So, it's by far for me my favorite Star Wars film, and maybe it's too low for Star Wars for a lot of people. I do like Star Wars. Maybe I don't love it as much as as compared to other people, but like I said, it's Empire Strikes Back, and not much more to say about it than that.
I agree. All right, Matt, last film for today, our number 31 picks. What do you have?
Oh, I'm not going to talk about Star Wars for so long, guys. My last one for today, I don't know if you guys will remember this. One time I took a week off work and watched 7 Kevin Smith movies. And so I had to put a couple of them on here. And my first one that you'll run into, I think, is Clerks. His original, his starting point in film. Clerks is such a good movie. And it spawned so many more fun and great movies. I love his universe, and I love these characters, and I'm real upset about all the things that are happening with his filming career right now, where it's deals are getting made and broken, and this is coming, no it's not, this is going to be a TV show, and it's not happening. I just want more and more and more, and Clerks is what started it all. It's great. Definitely worth a watch.
Dan, thoughts on Clerks?
Yeah, I mean that was also my introductory to Kevin Smith, and I do love Clerks a lot. It changed the game in a lot of ways when it came to comedy and how something we take for granted today, where we're just people talking and getting really deep and dirty into different things like Star Wars. Now we have podcasts, but at that time that was a pretty different thing. A big reason why Kevin Smith has been around still today. So, yeah, I mean, it made Kevin Smith an empire. So,
true.
Gotta give it credit.
All right, Amanda, thoughts on Clerks?
I like Dogma.
No thoughts on Clerks?
I don't remember seeing the original Clerks. Maybe I think I've seen it, but I don't know if it really stuck with me. That's man, okay, I saw Clerks 2, I know that, because didn't their like video store thing burn down? Their convenience store thing?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Spoiler alert in the first minute of the movie.
Yeah, calm down. But I've seen Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2. I haven't seen Chasing Amy or all of the first Clerks. So, I mean, I can't really say much, but I do like Kevin Smith's stuff, and I like his characters.
All right. Well, what's your last pick for today?
I don't know if I can... I'm not supposed to talk about it. That's 1999's Fight Club.
Oh, ba-bum-bum.
This is such a trippy movie, really, if you think about it, and it's like a total mind game here, this entire movie, and it's intense beyond belief and brutal, but it really asks some, serious questions about, what we hold dear, and like what it says about society is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's one of the few films that I actually had to write in pretty long paper on in college. I think it was like a 10-page paper that we had to write on Fight Club.
Why on Fight Club?
That's what the professor picked. It was some type of rhetoric course, and she showed us Fight Club, and we had to write about it.
Yikes.
So I should dig that out and see if anything that I wrote down makes any sense. But I agree, Fight Club is a great movie and definitely iconic 90s film. All right, for my number 31, Amanda, you might as well just go on mute so you don't have to roll your eyes and guffaw and chastise my pick, because I love it and I don't care, and it's my list. So for my number 31, I'm going to go to 2012, and I'm going to go to, I've said it a billion times on the podcast and everybody always rolls their eyes, but Les Mis from 2012 with Russell Crowe and Hugh Jackman. I love this film, and I enjoyed it quite a bit on the first watch, and every year that's passed, I've grown to love it more. I think it's one of the best musicals ever made, as far as the songs go, and as far as just everything basically about the story and how rich it is with its different plot elements and themes, and kind of what it has to say about a whole bunch of different things. It's so layered, and I think you could really spend a lot of time dissecting this and still have more to dissect.
I did dissect this in school, but I watched the Liam Neeson version, which is way better, okay?
I disagree.
Did you see the Liam Neeson one? No, you didn't. So you can't disagree.
Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I saw 5 minutes of it and I shut it the fuck off.
You didn't see the whole thing?
No.
I think this was this is one of those films that like we went to the theater. I went to the theater to watch it, and like people were getting up and leaving and walking out like 5 minutes, 10 minutes into it, and I was just so confused. Like, did you guys not understand what you were coming to see? It's a musical. That's what it is. So, I don't know. I love it. I can't believe that you didn't watch more than 5 minutes of it. We're going to have to rectify that.
And I can't believe you haven't seen a lot of these movies on my list. And you don't have to be a jerk about it.
All right, number 31 on my list, Les Mis from 2012. Dan, what's your last pick for today?
My last pick, I think, is a movie that I'm pretty sure everyone's seen, everyone that's listening to this podcast has seen. One of the greatest action films of the 1980s, and that is Die Hard. The first Die Hard. With Bruce Willis. As a kid, I was not a huge fan of like the 80s genre of action, like the over-the-top ridiculousness of something like a Commando. I just kind of got bored with it, but I love Die Hard. And oddly, the first experience I had with Die Hard was not with Die Hard. It was an episode of Bobby's World that that recreates Die Hard, and I'm like, that's a great idea. Why didn't they make a movie of that? As I'm like 8 years old, not knowing it's an actual film. So watching Die Hard, things kind of went off in my head. I'm like, oh, this is where they got that from. Oh, they're smart. So, but it's Die Hard. It reinvented the reel when it came to movies. Unfortunately, it keeps going, even though it shouldn't. We now have things that are called Die Hard, and we Die Hard in a White House, Die Hard on a bus. I had Speed, the beginning of this countdown way back in the late 90s of my list. So, it's a great movie that I think takes its time to get to the action, but when it does, it's amazing. So.
I think when we talked about action films a couple of years ago, I think it's one of those that a lot of people have at the top of the list as far as one of the best action films of all time. And Dan, you're bringing out a bunch of heavy hitters today for sure, man. There is quite a few movies on your list that I had to stay somewhat mum on because they're much higher on my list. But definitely what you said in the preface was accurate. You had some big movies, both old classics, both 80s, action blockbusters, Star Wars on there. So very impressed, and I can't wait to see what you're filling your top of your list off. And you're going to make us all probably look and feel stupid with the great picks that you have at the top of your list.
Why don't you have nice things to say about my list, Kevin?
Because I haven't seen any of them.
And you know what? You could at least
I saw Ghostbusters.
You could at least say
Great
something
film.
nice and be
Great
like,
film.
"Well, that
Ghostbusters.
sounds interesting."
Love it.
One movie.
I will watch those and then I will report back to you. I will tell you on the spot how great they are.
Well, then don't be shitty up front when I make my picks.
I will say a lot of movies you guys actually have talked about, I have a much higher, so it's kind of funny. So
it'll be interesting to see how it kind of flip flops for some of them. Yeah, so definitely a lot of films that are going to be crisscrossing our way as we make our way through our final 30. Matt, what do you think so far of the list, and what should we expect from you the rest of the way?
I forgot to put Die Hard on my list. Like, I'm looking at the ones that didn't even... Oh, wait. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. I had a space in it. And so, like, I did a search in my document without a space. I tried to put it on my list. Okay, I feel better. Oh, dude, my list is going to get worse before it gets better, for sure. The next one's just going to be all superhero movies. Heads up.
All right. So I'll have to see how they rank and which ones you put above other ones, because we've heard some recent superhero talk, obviously, when we did our March Madness, and we know how you feel about some of those films, so it'll be interesting to see which ones made your list. All right, so everybody that's listening, make sure you let us know which films we're crazy for having so much love for, which ones you're surprised or have already been named and aren't going to be higher on the list, and let us know how you're enjoying this countdown overall. You can do that by going to www.geekcastradio.com, finding the episode post there, and commenting. We will reply to any comments you put on the webpage. You can also keep up to date with all Geekcast-related things, all the different blogs we do. There's a lot more movie content on the site as far as written content. We have Amanda and myself and Dan put out a monthly movie roundup, and Dan, you are going through movies you want to show your son. Maybe you can talk a couple seconds about that in case people are interested to check out and read some of those.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, I wanted to do movie review blogs, but I'm not seeing a lot of really current stuff, and I feel like this is something a little bit different. So, basically, I'm going through, and a lot of the movies I actually talked down here will be included, and basically movies I want to show my son. So, the idea behind it is my personal attachment to that film, lessons I feel you can learn movie-wise or life-wise, and then concerns I kind of have thinking, you know what, this might not work as much as I would love it to do. And as we're speaking right now, I think the ones that are out are I have one on The Sandlot, one on Bicycle Thieves, and out shortly by the time this is released, the most recent one would be Back to the Future. So enjoy that.
Yeah, so definitely go to the website and let us know how you're enjoying the different blogs we're putting up. Let us know if you're enjoying the actual podcast as well. You can keep up to date with us through Twitter as well and comment to us directly if you want to just talk to Amanda or just talk to Matt. Amanda, what is your Twitter handle?
At Heart Candy Mandy, Eyes No Eyes.
Matt, what's your Twitter handle?
I'm at Fridley Set. Come at me, bro.
Dan, what's your Twitter?
I'm at Movie Revolt.
You can tweet me directly at Optimus Solo, or if you just want to leave a general message for the show, you can tweet at Cinema Geekcast. So that's it for this episode. We'll be back with another episode in our video game series Spotlight, as well as our Miyazaki Spotlight. We have episodes from both of those spotlights coming forward to you guys, so hopefully you'll enjoy those as well. And then we'll be back in a little while to count down our number 30 through 21 picks next time we go back to the top 100. So that's it for this week. Tune in next week for another chance to listen to the Cinema Geeks.